The draft in front of you, always in front of you, always increasing, so to say, spreading, swelling, filling all crevices, its hot air neither not warming and not chilling, or perhaps both. It can be both, it is both, simultaneously sometimes, and following each other at others. A textual draft, the draft of a text swelling, I've already said that, expanding, inflating, not the most flattening word perhaps, but also not completely off the mark and should be kept here for the sake of sincerity, should not be censored for its attempt, however vain, to speak an inconvenient truth. Spreading, filling all crevices, bulging, a word of sexual connotations, is it not? And growing, rising, they too, when following bulging, are led by the same hand, so to say. Sexual suggestions that may seem to make little sense here, but they do, in their own way they do, for they too are sincere, however forced, and if not out of place, then at least slightly out of hand, and most certainly quite different from the references and side stories and quotes and anecdotes usually populating your texts, so should probably now again be reined in by force, their potentially endless and limitless expansion, limited and ended by a writer who, not unlike a monk, drags themselves back to their draft and away from the world, not only by duty and loyalty, but also by desire. The desire of and for a duty and loyalty to do what no one asks them to do and write what no one asks them to write. A text which fattens, fills out, accumulates. On the screen in front of you and against the backlit white pages out of paper lookalikes filling them are letters, words, phrases, sentences, whole paragraphs to be lifted out of context, repurposed, taking on new shapes and forms, extracted, excerpted, their content used for readings at openings and events, printed in publications or published on the World Wide Web, sent also, often in incomplete or repurposed form via mail or one of the endless messaging and communication and even dating services to peers and colleagues. Terrible words, those two. Colleagues more so than peers. To friends and exiles it should read. The artists, the writers. Colleagues certainly not, implying not a call, but a profession, or even worse, a business. And peers, not so much better, but still somewhat inadequate for reasons unknown, or you're not fit to explain. Perhaps it's just that, again, your knowledge of this language fails you. But why does this word seem evasive, even outright hypocritical? As complicated as, or even more so than, the word you always try to avoid, try to never let be the reason for you to sit down, like now, in front of this screen. Try not to let this word change your writing what no one asks you to write. In a word, audience. The desire is there anyway, must be, don't want to say should be, as should is irrelevant. Should is the first syllable in the shoulders, carrying the expression and dubious activity of rubbing someone's shoulders. Must be also without audience. Desire, here we go again. Not an audience, but a desire decoupled from the fruits of one's labor or the results of said fruits. Focus instead on the garden where they grow, on waking up in the middle of its fields in the morning and walking among its trees both day and night, hiding under the canopies from the sun and the rain, but leaving the fruits and the leaves to rot on the ground where they fall, for the fruits are not yours to eat, and the leaves are not yours to rake. An artist has their practice, and you have yours. A carpenter has their craft, and you have your draft. The desire is there, should be, must be, but you've until now refrained from writing about it, or you've been hiding it rather, as is so common among your kind. Desire hidden behind words, witticisms, half-truths, puns. Words, alas, are so bad at expressing feelings, but so good at hiding them, and you too have done your very best at covering said feelings, not with glitter and ornament, but with a wet blanket. The sad wet blanket caused by the hot air leaving your mouth when you speak. A blanket continuously dampened by the humidity of exhaust leaving the insides of your body through your mouth hole. Your inadequacy used as a shield, your incompetence and impotence, unable to let the words penetrate, or by their touch, a cold draught on bare nipples erected, calves and thighs and chest tickled, become one with their subjects, as it were. Therefore, clearly the desire to write, the lust, the urge beyond your control, but also the desire not to write, the celibacy of not writing, of abstinence and perpetual postponing, of every morning when you wake up and have to again decide whether to work or call in sick. And you call in sick, of course you do. Sick from sitting in front of your screen, your draft, beloved as it may be, free from your chain, much better than to go out on one of your long walks, and you do. And when you walk, and you do this all the time, you think not of the texts that need to be written and notes that need to be organized, but of the artists, your friends, your family, and your audience, God-forbidden word, on those you live for and live with and love, who join you when you walk, when you work, when you write. In every word you've ever written, in every letter they are there, for your letters are always directed to them. They are talking back at you at times, harsh sometimes, but sincere. Notes about your life too, and theirs, and ours. For not only do you live for and with them, but also of them you do. They provide you with material, and you provide them with text, but they provide you, they do. They feed you, and you couldn't live without them. Couldn't continue without them around you, sometimes far away and sometimes up close, but always there. They're always there, these marvelous caretakers of tradition and ingenious inventors of the new, the artists, the real ones, the true ones. Or, since truth is not really a thing anymore, then at the very least the sincere. The desire to write, but also not to write, to go on those long walks, to walk around the city, to avoid writing and to replace it with walking. A pushing and pulling, keeping the relationship alive through friction and complementary activities. No need to walk and no need to write, as needless as it is not useful. No usefulness, no need. No one asks you to do any of it, not to walk and not to write. Complementing each other, the two, the pushing and pulling of a relationship. Keeping it alive and keeping it open, meandering, loafing around, never getting to the point, never arriving, no goal, only process, roaming, space and time, not development and not structure. Unfold, yes, the walks too unfold. And only when you walk do you realize that you write what you've written, the draft, how to work with it, combine, split up, merge, erase, obliterate. It comes to you not in front of the screen, but when away from it, when walking or when just about to fall asleep or wake up after an hour or so of sleep and can't go back to it again. A relationship continuously unfolding, relating, following no standardized recipe, form, frame, idea of what it should or could be, or who, for that matter, is the audience, if at all. For you have no idea, and really you shouldn't, no idea what material should be used or how, for that matter, to structure it. No idea in that sense, for it doesn't start with one. To slowly unfold instead, develop, curdle, not out of nothing, but out of nothing special. For what is special always coagulates from what is not, is carved out of the rough block of wood or stone or time. Yes, also out of time, of life and what it does to you, how it affects you, how it develops you slowly, lets you unfold, how you slowly get to know your own body and the bodies of others. Your body growing up, getting stronger, and then growing not stronger and firmer, but inflated, flaccid, growing where it didn't, hanging where it shouldn't, and limping. You limp in ways you never saw yourself limping before. It didn't used to be like this, you say, and not only are you sincere, but it's also true, actually true. It didn't used to, but now it is. That's how it unfolded. That's how it played out, according to no grand scheme or plot, but being slowly carved out over time and in space, leaving you where and when and how you are now. How are you? How have you been? Have you been here before? Do you come here often? It's your first, isn't it? It's a first. You have never done this before. You need guidance, and you will get it, whether by experience hands or not, whether consciously and aware of their role or not. They will guide you, these hands, whether on or off the hands, at a distance possibly, far away and unaware that they are in fact guiding, that they are in fact leading, oblivious to what they're doing, to who, how, and why. You're at their mercy regardless. You're floating, you're on your own, you're drifting. Can't distinguish one day from another, for they mix and blend, and that's how it should be, all fine with you. You've managed to let go. They too should develop, according to no fixed narrative, the days, but spread, swell, one day into another, and the days and the nights too fuse and merged and mingle seamlessly into each other, but also randomly in cut up and chaotic streams. Into and out of each other they bulge, they grow, they inflate, flatten out, leveling the playing field, so to say, not very much developing in either space or time, these words, but spreading themselves out, as it were, a wet blanket covering the landscape, producing it, constituting it, alien to you, not yours, whatever that may mean, but other surroundings for you to again not only contemplate and examine, but engage with, take in as alien other. Speak to, speak with, further dampen, leave drops of dew from your breath on the moor in the morning, but also wetting it with your piss on the way home from a bar or an art opening late at night. Better you, dear, more than my pants or later my bed sheets, you say, can barely stand up because so drunk. Not the same limping as mentioned before, not the limp of aging, but of intoxication. not of the accumulation of time which your body is forced to shoulder, heavier for every minute, more burdensome for every second of its existence, until inevitably one day it will collapse, but out of drunkenness simulating a sped-up effect of the same but twisted, queer in the word's archaic meaning, odd, peculiar, strange, and also strangely pleasing, comforting, if only for a short time. A simultaneously uplifting, consoling, and accelerated drunk version of this collapse. And you don't wet your bed sheets, you haven't since you were little, but wake up instead after an hour or two of sleep, not more, sweaty and with your heart racing, your blood pumped around at a steady beat of 120 BPM. You've overdone it again, you overstayed, got home too late, let in too much input for your system to digest. You shouldn't drink or write or talk too late at night, or this happens to you. You know it does. You wake up after an hour or two of sleep, sweaty and with your heart racing, blood pumped around at a steady beat of 120 BPM. Too much input for your system to digest, too intense and too late into the night, too late for you to be able to calm down, to let it go. To leave it for now and get back to it later, but only after a good night's sleep. For you need those nights of sleep. The days and the nights, they may fuse and merge and mingle, but you need the breaks, everybody does. The impression of a break at the very least, while your body tirelessly digests and processes the material for you while you sleep. Largely unaware of it all, yet updated by your body and mind through your dreams. Dreams of other voices, in other words, images, feelings, urges, lives lived and lives not lived or not yet, the cravings, the yearnings, the aspirations. Not only yours, and not only those shared with you, not only the ones delivered to you and ready for you to take in, pre-processed, absorbable, swallowable, digestible, but the unknown unknowns too, the ones that also after intake stay opaque, incredible, impenetrable. Impossible for you to penetrate, caressing instead their skin, touching their bodily surfaces in all their complexities and depths. Yes, also depths. Let go and allow yourself not to penetrate, but be absorbed by their bowels, your body gently rubbed and roughly massaged, and almost crushed against the irregularities of their inner walls. But the walls instead that surrounded you last night, white walls, white people, sharp fluorescent light, perpetual cultural dusk, or so you feel while emptying your bladder on the moor on the way home after the opening. Low mist, backlit from fake full moon. Cinematic, yes, but no drama, no development. Only that wet blanket, folded out, laid out, spread out. A whisper, a hiss, a background hum, an ambient track, a never arriving and never leaving drone. Continuous backdrops that fuse and merge and mingle seamlessly, but also in cut up and chaotic streams, lifted out of context, repurposed, taking new shapes and forms, extracted, excerpted into you. A hollow and the perpetual wind blowing through it, through these inhospitable brightly lit spaces which constitute, despite providing no shelter, the homes of you and your family. where you meet and chat and cheer and drink. You gossip and hear the news and pass it on too, if you can. The news, the gossip. Rooms made not for desire, but still, despite everything, the white backdrop against which love too can miraculously unfold. Life can, yours and many others too, who manage still to survive and love and live in these surroundings, so bad for expressing feelings, but so good at hiding them. Your peers and colleagues. Terrible words, those two. Colleagues more so than peers. To friends and exiled, it should read. The artists, the writers, your loved ones.